Hello and welcome back to Real French Connections. Today we are in a village called Saint-Estèphe in the Dordogne area of France to talk to Nicky and Allan. Now, they've moved from Manchester here and they have bought a property which has 2 gîtes. This is their first full year of being the owners and hosts of their gîte. We're going to have a look around.
What gave you the idea to move to France and to come to this particular area?
Well, we've been together, for 8, 9 years, 10 years?
It wasn't probably quite that long at that stage, but we'd planned for the future.
Yeah. But we always came to this area for holiday.
Oh, so you knew it a little bit
A
already?
little bit, yeah. And then probably after a while we thought it would be nice to have a look at properties and think about where we want to live when we retire.
Yeah.
So we spent our holidays, there were more of house searches really.
So you had a project for a holiday?
Yeah.
5 years in the planning.
Yeah.
5 years?
Yeah.
Quite a long time, yeah. So,
is that because it was hard for you to find a place to fall in love with, or is that because you were sort of playing at that stage?
I think initially we were obviously working, and you're in your 50 and you think 5 years to retire till we've got some money together.
Yeah.
So we had the time to look around, look at different properties, get to understand the area that we wanted to live in, think about the sort of property that we wanted to have. But we knew that what we didn't want to do is just retire.
Right.
Because going from work, and we had busy lives and lots of work, what we didn't want to do is just retire completely.
Yeah.
So we thought the best thing to do is to get something with a little business.
Yes.
Little gîte business is perfect for us because it's not too much work, but actually it is quite a bit of work. So that was our idea, and it's worked out well, I think.
We both really loved Dordogne, and Allan particularly loved the Périgord there because of its landscape is more. It's hilly, it's farmy, it's more different than just rows and rows of vineyards and things and some of the others, which is still beautiful, but. But we decided we'd explore to make sure this was the one that we wanted to, and then understand the sort of the lifestyle of the villages, because Manchester was the sort of second biggest city in England. To come to somewhere where, you've seen, it's like a 20-minute walk to the boulangerie or 5 minutes in the car. But we felt it very important to do all that research, and then you knew, and it was like narrowing down till we decided the relative area, and then it was like seriously sort of for the house.
A lot of people have that dream of opening and running a gîte, so it's really interesting. We'll talk about the things that were hard, the things that were easy, but also that difference between full-on city Manchester, and it's not just a little city, busy, thriving city, to come to a place of such tranquility. I mean, we can hear the birds here, we have a magnificent sky, the scenery is gorgeous. It's a real contrast. So there's lots to unpack here.
Sure.
I suppose the first thing is, did you decide to have multiple gîtes? When you were looking for a property, had you decided to have one little cottage by the side, or were you looking for something that would keep you a bit busier, that had several properties that you could
I think we thought about this quite a lot, and we thought actually 2 gîtes is right for us. If you have one really small gîte, actually it's probably not going to keep you that occupied. And what we've got here is 2 pretty large gîtes. One has 10 people, the other one has 6.
Huge.
So they are big. And so making sure they're all ready is quite a lot of work, but it's just the right balance. We didn't want to go from working 40, 50 hours a week to nothing. But we also didn't want to be overly busy. What we've, I think, discovered is that in the first half of the year you are very busy because you're getting everything ready, but then during the summer when people are here, actually you're not as busy as you might think. You've got plenty of time to do the things because people look after themselves.
So is this your first year of being open?
Well, we were actually coming up to our first anniversary, so we exchanged on the 28th of May, or completed on the 28th of May last year.
Gosh, a lot happened in a year.
Wow. But we bought it as a going concern from a lovely couple. What was great was we had enough bookings, but not too many to completely overwhelm us. So that was a bit of a transition till you kind of realise how everything worked. And this year is our first kind of full season with us at the helm.
Yeah.
And what I love about it, and not to jump too far ahead, is that what Allan was saying is like we both worked as management consultants, so it was, client meetings, client assignments, client sites, literally 40 to 50 hours a week, depending, with some travel, which we both enjoyed. Like it's a privilege as well as sometimes a bit like, oh, I've got to go to somewhere that's not so exciting. But what you find when you come here is that no 2 days are the same, are they?
No. So we've got people coming here in 2 weeks' time.
For the big gîte, we've got July and August booked out, but we have days where, and Allan can talk about it a bit more later, but we've done some renovations around some of the pool areas, upgraded some of the other. So it's days of, painting. I've made some, I love sewing. That's been a passion I've been able to reawaken since quitting kind of mainstay work. So I made some curtains and some cushions and bits and pieces, and then so one day doing that, then you're grass cutting, then you're painting, then you're washing all furniture. It is just
physical work.
It's physical work. It's busy. But I was talking to a friend of mine in the UK last week, and I said to him, I've been really busy, and he asked me what I've been doing. And he said, well, at least you're doing things that you enjoy.
Yes.
Which actually makes a difference. You finish the day really tired. But you accomplish things. It's really nice to have achieved something, to make something or
you
paint
see the
something.
results.
Exactly.
The results of your labor. don't you?
Exactly.
Literally.
Yeah.
So this is your first clients are arriving for this year.
They're American.
Yes.
There's a couple. 2 people and 2 dogs.
Yep.
And we were introduced to them through French Connections.
Interesting.
And they're looking to buy a house here. So they're going to use this as a base whilst they look around the area and find a house to permanently move here, which is fantastic.
That is fantastic. And they will surely benefit from a lot of advice that... have you been in touch with them already?
Yes.
Have,
So Allan kind of goes front of house, Nicky. I tend to do a lot of that.
Right.
Because I love it. So I've had sent little video, little photographs of we're updating this. Had a couple of calls with them. Send them emails. I feel like we know them already. And it's very exciting. So it's for me, I'm very excited about being able to share some of the things which I've done on the Zoom calls already, but share some of the things we have found that made life integrating into the community very easy. And that's really important.
Let's talk about that. So a year since you signed the final papers, which is not long.
No.
If you think, including, that means you've gone through the winter here in the village, which I think really matters because that means you're not just visitors. You're here to stay. How has it been settling in and feeling part?
If you come here, you've got to put the effort in.
Yes.
Around here, there is an English community and there's a French community.
Yep.
And I think Nicky, more than I, has made great effort to integrate with the French community because you speak good French. But both of us have integrated, I think, very well with the English community here as well, who are incredibly nice people and will help you with anything. Whatever it is, everybody will help you, whether the tractor's broken down or whether you need help with your bank account or whether you're not sure what to do about your mobile phone. Somebody will help you. In fact, this Friday, tomorrow, we've got a problem with the tractor, so there's a local engineer who's coming over to fix our tractor for us. It's fantastic.
That is fantastic, but you put the effort in.
Absolutely.
What were the steps of effort that you put in? What did you decide to do and what did you actually do? This will be really helpful to people.
So I will say that Eddie and Julie were the lovely couple who we bought the property from, and they sent a list of these are we've got something down the road. It's called a BRICO. It's the association, BROC, I should say, Le Broc. It's the local kind of community association, and it's got a little place that it's a hall where they do different things, like during the Pilates or French conversation, but there's a little bar and they do concerts and different things. So we got a bit involved in that. We have the Marché du Poudry, which is like all the local in season, all the local sort of butchers, restaurants, kind of shop people that come and they do their sort of food trucks or they sell their wares. And there's a committee, and actually there's some Dutch, there's some French, there's some English, and we even got a Canadian. And the guys all come together and help set the tables out and things like that, and then we'll sometimes come along and enjoy. So that was another area, but we were given some introductions. The other thing is a lot of people will come and they'll know that you're new in the neighborhood, excuse me, and they'll knock and say hi, and so
That's extraordinary.
so
English and French.
English and French,
Wow.
and it just is that bit where we would then, like, we've got some new people moving into one of the restaurants down the road, so we've been kind of knocking on saying, hey, we're here if you need any help. And then the other thing I would say is when you look at programs of activities, it's also important to sort of put yourself into situations you might not normally have done in your home country. So for me, I go down on a Monday. I absolutely love it. I wish it was longer than an hour.
Yeah.
But we've got a conversation group where we've got English speakers and French speakers, and we have questions, and we have to speak in French, and our French friends correct us, and vice versa, and we have lots of laughter. But it's a way of getting to know people, because you will actually run into people in the supermarket, in the local sort of cafes or little bars, and it's all of that you have to do. And then I think the other thing, coming back to the English community, they do a lot for some of the people do groups things for charity.
Oh yes, that's a nice way to
yeah,
present it.
and one of our friends, and absolutely hilarious people, they hosted last year a typical English afternoon tea, and so they prepared it all, and they invited loads of different people, and some friends of ours said, "Oh, you must come along and meet." And you sort of sat there and you met all these very different people, and you kind of sit there thinking, it's Sunday afternoon. Would I in Manchester have dreamt that I'd be here in this type of a setting, having an afternoon tea with almost complete strangers that now become friends? But you have to put yourself in the position to actually go out and do those different things, and that's the part of the different way of life. And I was speaking to another friend we met, a lovely lady, and she said the difference here is that the people who have come have put themselves out of their comfort zone, so you have to be ready to do that. And then well, you could just look up and say the sky's the limit. It's just, I love it. I wake up, I'm a bit of a morning person, Alan maybe not so much, but I wake up every morning and I'm so excited about rain or shine what the day is going to bring. And love the fact that you're less driven by time.
Yeah.
So we have time to suddenly say, if we're halfway through cutting the grass, oh, shall we go and get a coffee? Because that's part of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So putting yourself out there, maybe putting yourself in a situation where in England you might not have been certain.
That's
right. I mean, here it sounds in your community, in this area, Saint-Estèphe, the community is already open arms.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you put yourself into
That's
that
right.
community.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
And even if you don't, they'll come and find you by the sound.
Yeah. But
Which
you've
I
got to
think
put the
is-
effort in, I think.
Yeah.
You know.
I love also that you say you were more integrated into the English community because of language, you more into the French. But there's obviously a big overlap that naturally happens in your village.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I've joined the association committee, and all our meetings are completely in French, but they're our friends and colleagues on it are very sympathetic too. But what I'm actually I understand like a lot more.
Yeah.
And you can get involved. But I work on the bar occasionally when there's concerts and things
That must
on.
be fun.
And and this. So that I work with another friend that we always seem to end up in the bar, and he's very French, and obviously then an English speaker. But then occasionally I'll be kind of going, I don't understand this person, and it's that lovely because it's that group. But I would say that I would encourage anybody who's coming to make this journey that it's really important to learn the language. Some people feel that yes, you could get by, but I feel that because we make the effort to speak and understand, we feel that we've been, I wouldn't say more welcome, but people there's more of a relaxation, I think.
People appreciate the effort
That's right.
being made. So have you found that as well, Alan, that
Yeah.
your French is not as perhaps as fluent as Nicky's?
Yeah, it's not fluent at all, but I take lessons here.
Oh, okay.
So I have lessons with a French speaker
Yep.
every week
Yes.
and do my homework.
Yep.
But you've got to do that. You've got to put the effort in.
Yeah.
And people do appreciate if you speak French to them,
Yeah.
even if it's not very good or
Yeah.
broken, they'll appreciate that.
Yeah.
Which is good.
And in terms of lifestyle, then, has it? Well, I this is even a silly question to ask. I was going to say, has it lived up to expectations? But I'm sitting in your beautiful paradise. So, however, were your expectations what you actually came to? That's a better way of putting it, really.
I think, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I was hoping it wouldn't. I was hoping it'd be work to do here,
Yep.
and we do.
Yes.
We're busy if we want to be busy. We're busy as we run up to the 1st of June when
Yep.
our first guests arrive. But we've got plenty of time to do things. So we play golf.
Oh, yes.
So there's a couple of golf courses around here.
Yeah.
So we play golf, when we want to, which is great. So yeah, I think so. It's a lovely place to live. It's really, really, really nice, and it's so much more relaxing. It's fantastic, really.
So you mentioned that the first guests were introduced to you from French Connections HCB. What else did you need help with?
Reflecting on when we were starting
Yeah.
this journey, looking for a property is actually relatively easy because there are lots of estate agents.
Yes.
But when you start to look into the complexities of moving abroad,
Yeah.
things like your visa, your health cover,
Yeah.
buying a car, your mobile, all of these
Bank
things,
accounts.
all of these things, you think, I need some help
Yeah.
with all of this. And there's help out there, but everybody's got a slightly different opinion of how to do stuff.
Yes.
Whatever it is, somebody will help you.
Give you some advice.
But everybody's advice is slightly different.
Yeah.
None of it's wrong. It's just slightly different. It just reflects their experience. And I thought we need some proper help
Yeah.
because you're from an Irish background. You've got an Irish passport. I've
Yep.
got an English passport.
Right.
We've just been through Brexit.
Yes.
So there would be some complexities on the back of that, I
Yeah.
thought. And we just happened to come across French Connections
Well,
on
I
the
think
internet.
it's-
That's how I found it.
In fairness, Alan had retired a year before me to do a lot of this.
Oh, yes.
and-
To sort out the back.
Yeah,
I love that
Yeah.
Alan says I came across. Alan had been doing some research,
Right.
and then he found French Connections,
Yeah.
and I was still working, and he did the initial fact finding on it and stuff like that, and then I
Yeah.
think we had an introductory call, didn't we?
Yeah. What they've given us, I think, is the right answers to solve the problems.
Right.
And some of the key things like the visa,
Yes.
they've just managed the whole process for us. We have to sign documents,
Yeah.
but they manage the whole process for
And
us.
make sure it's the right visa.
Absolutely. And even we've had complexities,
Yeah.
such as you have to take your fingerprint. That didn't go right because their fingerprint machines didn't work.
This is at the big sort of official
it's-
centre.
That's right.
What's
Well,
it?
French Connections sorted that out for us. They
Yeah.
they got in touch with them. They rearranged the meeting. We went down and did it again. It was perfect.
Yeah.
And it's the help that you get to follow the process.
Yes.
But in any process, there's going to be a few wrinkles.
Yeah.
And they helped us sort all of those
Yeah.
problems out, and they're still doing it, which is great for us.
Oh, you're carrying on, are you, as needs? Because I suppose there'll be a visa renewal.
We had
Yeah.
an extended sort of like Alan range. We had a sort of a period of time to get us through that. Even things like the accountancy helps with tax
Oh
returns.
gosh, for this running the gîte,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
suppose it's
yeah.
a
'Cause it was a
separate thing
business,
again,
yeah,
isn't
it was
Actually,
all-
let's talk about that. Setting up a business here in France is different
Yeah.
to just arriving, isn't it? And having a spare property and deciding to let it out.
Yeah.
Different thing if you're doing it officially.
Yeah, and you have to do it officially.
Yeah.
And here there are a few people who run gîtes, and again, everybody will give you a view and their
Yeah.
opinion, which is great, and that's really helpful. But French Connections have helped us set up the business for us, get the important SIRIT and SIRAN
Yes.
numbers, which you need,
Yeah.
and they've walked us through the whole process,
Yeah.
so we understand how that works.
Yes.
And they've taken us through our first accounting
First tax
report,
return.
tax return, which we've just completed.
Yep.
And that's complicated. Right?
Very.
It was a 56-page document which they completed for us, and we just signed where we needed to sign.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been really, really important to get that sort of help. Yeah, the right sort of help.
Yeah.
So I think we paid for it, but I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was worth every penny. Just on the, I mean, if you think about moving to another English-speaking country,
Yes.
but this was and I mean, the French is so technical, and you have to make sure that you've got it completely right, even on like things like the carte vitale and like a carte séjour, and literally what I felt was it was almost like, well, Juliet was the name of our main contact. It was like, we'll talk to Juliet. And she was like, yeah, we've got this, I've got a contact. Even setting up our internet and getting all of that sorted, because we needed that for the guests, like the Wi-Fi and everything. And she, and you just felt that you had a real partner, you know, you were in safe hands. And what it didn't do was, it didn't add stress to what was an incredibly exciting part of our lives, because we felt that's been taken care of. So we had time to embrace and enjoy a lot of the good parts of it, because we had French Connections in the background doing their thing.
Yeah, one of the things we wanted to do when we got here was to buy a car.
Yes.
And
Necessary.
Absolutely.
Necessary.
And if you don't buy a car, you hire a car, and that's really expensive because you need it for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So French Connections bought the car for us. So we selected the car before we got here. They bought the car for us, and when we landed in Bergerac Airport, the car was there waiting for us.
Yeah.
That worked really well for us.
That's a
didn't
great
it?
service. I think it's really interesting what you said about being able, that freeing you up to enjoy this adventure, because there is, for a lot of people, a lot of stress of moving. I think the fact that you had been planning it for a significant amount of time, you pointed it out, Alan, I think you got to know the area, force of visiting all these houses. You had a plan for what you wanted to do work-wise. So once the bulk of the admin is being taken care of, you could come here with joy, couldn't you?
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
right. That's right. And
So
the support. So it's great to have somebody who you know you can contact to say, actually, I've got a problem with the internet or the bank account, and somebody's there to help you solve these problems, which is...
And it was like having pixies in the background, just like, you know, it was, oh, look,
Juliet, we'll tell Juliet.
the magic sort of happened. I feel Juliet's become a friend during the duration. And, you know, there's a part of me when a time comes that we're standing on our own feet, I'll be quite sad, because she's been with us on the journey, but it's definitely made the whole process, and you can relax about the fact that paperwork, taxes, utilities, documentation, it's right.
Yes.
And that's very important.
That's all so good to hear.
We found this place, I think it was in January.
Yeah.
So we came over for a week, didn't we? But and that is the best time to look for properties. Otherwise, if you come in the summer, you're always seeing everything in its best.
Yeah. No.
Well, if you're going to live there, you need to see things during the winter and look at the area in the winter.
Sure. And how was it? Let's talk about your arrival then, when you first saw the property. So it's no leaves on the trees, or fewer.
Yeah.
Snow? Does it snow here?
Not really, no.
Okay.
You can get icy roads and frost, but I think we're probably not high enough maybe to get it. So I was a bit fraught. We arrived and we walked in. Then I was just like, oh my God, there was a wonderful atmosphere. There was a great feel.
Yeah.
And kind of laid out very differently.
Yes.
And we walked around, and before we'd left, I was kind of thinking, okay, I really, really like this. And then we saw the gîtes, which were really, again, bits of. There's always room for maybe a little bit of decoration or a change of some,
and different styles.
But they were ready to. There wasn't work to be done.
Right.
So, as Alan would have called it, like a turnkey operation.
Yeah.
by the time we were leaving, I was already planning
You were
where the
decorating.
furniture was going to go, and I was thinking, oh my God, because and then we'd made the offer, and I do remember we were very excited because we got a phone call from the estate agent while we couldn't fly directly to Manchester at that time of the year,
Right.
so we were going via Schiphol Airport in
Okay.
Amsterdam.
Long way around.
So we were having a coffee, and they came back, and we had like 5 minutes on the phone. Then it was like the offer was accepted.
Oh, what a moment.
Yeah, so we then had to get these small bottles of wines as you do in the coffee shop to celebrate.
Absolutely.
But it was very much it was head and heart.
Yes.
Because there was, oh my God, this feels right.
Yeah.
But the land was right, the pools, the gîtes were good sizes, the house was beautifully grand. So it was very much that plus so it was, and I think that's the important thing is that you have to stick with your criteria and not get carried away. We had a few places lined up, and Allan again, I would look and kind of go, what about, and Allan would then do the
profound research.
And and very organised, had a spreadsheet of everything that we needed, and the estate agent said, we've got this, why don't you see? So we just scheduled that in on the Monday, and
Gosh, fate plays us.
there was very little that we did when we moved in without, we were able to move in and say, this is home. And the sale was very easy.
Yeah, it's about 3 months to complete.
From start to
and
finish.
it's different here than it is in the UK. So here you have to go to the notary with the sellers, and you sit in the same room, and the notary walks through a long document in English and French, which is very different from what happens in the UK, because of course it's all done online or through
Well, you don't
intermediaries.
for the completion, because we zoomed in because there's a Comte de Vion, it's just like almost the exchange, and you're all there. But we didn't have to be in person, but we did for the final bit, and you redid it, and there were things that had to be done to the house that by law for France, like things like
actually the level.
all the wood burners swept and different things, and all the certificates, and but it was actually really nice because we were all there together, and because we'd no furniture, everything was being shipped, and then suddenly what I can describe as the European box mountain arrived, because you forget how much you've put in storage. And one of the chaps, the lovely guys, were bringing in, there was a box that said coffee table, and I was looking at this table and I was kind of going,
That's tiny.
oh no, it's kind of huge, and I was kind of going, are you sure that's ours? And then I was thinking, oh my God, they've mixed our furniture up, and Allan was like, well, just open it, and oh God, it is ours. Yeah, that was the one that was in the completely. So we were doing all of that. But I loved it, because then I was able to, and Alan's very indulgent. He just said that you do what you want to in the kitchen, and I was like putting everything away, and
Didn't that make you feel good? I love that moment.
Yeah.
Where your things, your favourite things, your treasured things, even if it's not to do with value, it's the things that make you happy arrive, and then they're in their new setting and they feel so right. don't they?
Yeah.
It's a great moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
When you arrive, you have to tell the local Marie that you've arrived.
Yes, did you go down there?
So we went down there, and then the huge delivery vehicle, they told us 24 hours beforehand that they were going to arrive, and we had to then go back to the Marie to arrange for such a big vehicle to come on the very small roads that
had
we've
to
got
close
here.
the road and do a diversion.
So they closed all the roads for us,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
Absolutely amazing.
And we were thinking, oh my God, because they hadn't given us enough notice, and the staff on the day, their English speaker wasn't there, so I was trying to do
you're
this
saying-
in pidgin French, and but they were very facilitative. And then what we did
sounds
was,
like it.
because we thought we were going to have to keep it closed till 5 p.m. The guys only took a few hours to unload.
Yeah.
Then we were able to let the mairie know that. And they were all, thank you very much. And the roads opened half an hour later, but it was like 2.5 hours early. The roads are narrow and windy, but
Yeah, but they're not so narrow that you're uncomfortable.
no,
That's
they're
right.
not.
Yeah.
Yes,
For a big lorry.
But it's very
Yeah,
much
yeah.
like
Yeah.
the sort of roads I would have driven on when I was
In
learning to
Ireland.
drive, because I lived out of the city. And
yeah.
and I remember one day saying to Alan, oh, I'm stuck behind a big tractor. I'll be later. And I was like really chilled, because that was what it was like at home. It was like a certain part of the road, if you got stuck behind the hay lorries,
Yeah,
you weren't passing them for. So for me, there's a bit of a lot of the sort of nostalgia about all of that.
Yes.
And, and Alan will never sort of talk himself up, and I don't embarrass you. But what I will say is, for a person who grew up in Manchester City, how quickly, like between all the pool filtering, the engineering, you know, I mean, I was driving the tractor and the weather wasn't great, so the tire slid off. Alan was like, yeah, I can fix that. And, you know, it's just been wonderful to be with them on the journey where we both embrace the country life. But Alan more so maybe even than me. You just settled right in, haven't you?
But it must be lovely to be able to use those skills that you clearly have, but probably didn't have much opportunity to use them here, changing a tractor tire. Who'd have thought?
Exactly.
Who'd have thought 10 years ago you'd be changing your own tractor tire?
Well, you go on the internet, find out how you do it, and then you have a go. And it works really well, actually. So it's helped us a lot with the pools and the
let's talk about that actually, because you have 2 gîtes and 2 pools. So is the idea each gîte has its private pool?
Yes.
Is that how it works?
Yes.
And were the pools already here?
Yes, they were.
But we've done a lot of work to the larger pool. So we felt that we wanted to upgrade the patio area. So all of that's brand new. And was probably finished 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So and the fence around it had to all come down and be fixed and painted, which took weeks. The 2 pools have 2 different filtration systems, and the people that we sold the house from gave us a crash course in what you do, but of course you forget that as soon as you arrive. So we've spent quite a bit of time working out the 2 different filtration systems, how they work, how you look after them. And again, there's help here. There's help around here. They will pop over and give you some advice. So both pools are now nearly ready to go. There's a bit more work to be done. But it's been quite a learning experience.
Really. And inside the gîte, so we're sitting against the back wall of the large gîte. Tell us about, we'll have a look afterwards, but tell us about the interior.
So this is, we call it Le Grange. And the other one is called Le Petite Maison. Which I refer to as LPM. Why not? So Le Grange has 2 double rooms. 1 king size room and 2 single rooms. So it does sleep 10, but it's very much a larger family. What I like about the interior, which you'll see later, is when you walk in, because I think this was a barn conversion. So there's a bit where the sort of almost the hallway when you go in, you look straight up to the top.
Can you see the rafters?
You can see the beams. And then you've got like almost like a mezzanine floor walk around it. And it's got a beautiful little balcony off it, which looks out into this most gorgeous view. And it's got a shower room and a bathroom and a downstairs toilet. It's got a big kitchen diner. It's got a very large integrated dining room, and there's a smaller, because obviously you can only have such a big table interior eating. There's a smaller table in the corner. But that's all kind of an open sort of living space. And it's there's one bit where you go to the double room at the end, and there's a beam that's low, and it says "Mind your head." And it's, I think, the only place in the entire house where Ali could say "Mind your head," except for one of the rooms in the main house, where I actually have to mind my head because I'm below everything else because I come from the land of leprechauns. So whatever the weather, you can still sit outside. It's all kind of contained because they've got a little garden. We deliberately didn't put in things like a swing set and stuff like that because obviously you have to worry about accidents and liabilities, and there's so much of that down by the lake. Massive big playground. La Petite Maison. When you go in and there's a small kind of kitchenette area, and then up to the right there's a step up into this very big sort of bedroom where we've kind of made a bedroom with a little sort of seating reading area, so you know you can just sort of get away from it, and then that follows up to a sort of mezzanine level double bedroom. From that you've got a lovely kind of very sunny bath with a shower in it, and and it's just bright. As you come from the kitchen, then you walk into what is a kind of dining seating area. Both gîtes have wood burners, so if you wanted to, you could do a Christmas or something. Back of that, there's another door out, which you'll see. But then up from that is stairs to another Very, again, large room with a nice sort of, you're able to put a chair and a little reading table. It's a double room. It's got a lovely ensuite shower room. And then so the walk from Le Petit Maison, their garden is out the back. And they've got a patioed area.
And then they arrive.
And then they've got grass up, and then they just arrive up to the little pathway to their pool. The night sky here, when the weather is good at certain times of the year, the stars are amazing.
Well, it will be tonight. There's not a cloud.
Not a cloud.
Yeah.
And we had a group of people, and they come, from time to time, astronomers. So it looked a bit like a NASA setup last year, because they all had their telescopes
Well, there were
out.
so many big star events, weren't there?
Unfortunately for them, the week they came, it was a bit cloudy.
Bad weather, wasn't it?
But what we do is, because that's all electric and everything, and then they had seats. So if it was a bit chilly at night time, we set it up so they could sit in there. They had the because of the time of the year, we put the portable Wi-Fi up there, so they could have Wi-Fi up there to do all their configurations.
I love the idea of the astronomers coming.
I just think, and you've always got plans, and that's probably something to touch on about what you plan versus what you see you can actually do. But you're kind of thinking, oh, could we then maybe advertise for specific astronomy sites, saying this is what you do just for just towards the tail end of the season, perhaps.
Well, maybe when because it's very easy. They're very well plotted, aren't they? The shooting star season and the alignment of planets. You could definitely target.
Hook into that and say,
there will not be many places with this. I mean, you have the entire sky view.
And they can set everything up, and because they've got all their covers, they can leave their equipment there, and it's very safe. Allan is definitely the sort of the rock and the balance in our lives, because I'm a bit like, whoa, this is great, or and let's do the sun, moon and stars. And I had all these, I was going to have a massive vegetable garden. I wanted to think, maybe we get goats or sheep to cut the grass, or we could get chickens to have fresh eggs every morning.
So talk me through those ideas and why you aren't doing them.
First of all, I had thought about it, but there's an awful lot of work involved in maintaining that and digging it and renovating it. And then you begin to realise, to keep the grass cut. I mean, I've just said to Allan already, thank God we're getting the tractor fixed tomorrow, because I cut that last week, but at this time of the year, you have to keep it regularly cut. So there's maintenance on the grounds, and you need to think, okay, well, that takes time, and we have to be able to do that. Have rediscovered my passion for sewing, and Allan laughs at me. I'll take a day or two off a week when he's doing other stuff, and I'm making bits. I'm thinking, because at the end of the summer in August they have and there's a word for it in French which escapes me, but almost like a market. I want to have a stall. I'll go to the beautiful fabric shop in Jabalac and spend so much of my my salary that we live on on that. And I wanted to have time to do that. But then there's things like, just maintaining the house, keeping it clean, going to French conversation, playing golf.
And I think if you get sheep, and we know people who've got sheep and goats, and who it doesn't take that much looking after, but when you want to go on holiday, then you've got to find somebody to look after them. And so we might do in the future.
So for me, there's a bit where it's a bit like going into Woolworths pick and mix, or the shop where you're kind of going, I want it all, and then you actually realise, oh God, I can't eat it all. So to me, it was a bit like, get a bit real, Nicky, and think about, you don't want it to be constantly working, and kind of working on your vegetable plot, and then things become I must rather than I'd like to. So there was a bit about, and then the other thing,
and the chickens, same problem.
Exactly.
But actually, that's what's good about the size of this pasture. This whole plot is 7,000 square meters, and we know people with much bigger areas, which look nice on paper, but take a lot more looking after. So if anybody's coming out here, you really got to think about how big a place you're actually. People often think, I want 3 or 4 acres or 7 or 8 acres. What are you going to do with it? Other than look after it. So you really got to think that one through, I think.
That's wise advice, I think.
Oh, yeah. What is wonderful is we're beautifully together apart, because Allan might be doing pools and I'll be out in the garden. And, we'll sort of, you might have most of the day not see each other, but we're busy, but we're together. And and then we make time to, last week was great. We made a day to go to Angoulême, and there's a big decathlon and outlet stall there. So I bought some work boots, and another golf club because you
I
can't
love
have enough of
the date
those.
night or date day.
But it is that bit where we'll make time to do stuff together. But
So we've done a lot really
You've
in
done a
the
lot.
first
Yeah.
12 months. But yeah, next year we'll do less, I think.
hopefully, yeah.
And do you take the time each evening after a big day of work in your sort of separate parts of the property to sit down and just have an aperitif
Yeah.
and just think, wow, that's another day where we have happily
Yeah.
achieved.
Yeah, yeah.
We have that sense of achievement, that sense of we've done something, whether it's painting or fixing something. It's quite a sense of achievement, really,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Well,
And you can often just nip down to the little bar down the road,
Yeah.
have a drink, and come back.
yeah.
Lovely.
And I quite like it down there because there's an awful lot of agricultural traffic goes past. And
Do you like the
I love it. I love it. My son said to me recently, God, Mum, you're turning into a real country person. When did that happen? And I said, it was always
It
there.
was there. It's been
It's
subdued.
just been,
advantage.
it's been dormant. I still get a buzz when I go to the boulangerie and I order my bread and the croissants and I get in the car and, it's been a year almost and it doesn't get old,
I think that's just such a lovely sentiment to have.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. And
Well
I
done, you guys.
thank you. But I think the thing I would say to somebody coming is, don't try and bring your home to your own place.
Yeah.
But don't try and bring your culture to what is an amazing country full of humor, traditions, amazing food. Not all of it you like.
But you don't have to.
No, but I did persuade Alan to try snails.
I did, yeah, it's
actually,
lovely.
you didn't. You didn't hate them.
No.
But I just think to me that's the bit that you remember that you're coming for the reason and allow yourselves to embrace that and know that it's going to be different, but know that different is good. Different is this.